I think in the beginning, people thought homosexuality was a joke. You were a joker. If you can find positivity in a relationship, I don't think people should have a stigma against that or be against that.
We own who we are.
You have to. That is love.
No, I think that's not love. That's not love. That's just your life journey.
Remote controlled
Yeah.
life, a pre-planned life
Yeah.
before you're even born.
Right.
If it's my son, he will do this. I will leave,
Yeah.
this business to him. And there's no individuality left. दिल्ली में ना हो. जब बाहर जाओगे करो जो करना है.
हाँ.
But हमारी सोसाइटी को नहीं पता
होना चाहिए
कि हम क्या हो रहा है इस घर में.
My guest today is an artist. He's an interior decorator and he's a very good friend of mine for the last 2 decades. Without any delay, I'd like you to meet Shhiv Singh. Hi Shhiv, welcome.
Hi Preeti.
How are you?
I'm doing very well.
And congratulations are in order. I believe you're engaged.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So Shhiv, I'd like to talk a little bit about your journey. Did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
Absolutely. I grew up in a home surrounded by art. And my father was very encouraging for me to take the path of creativity.
Right. So did you study in Delhi or?
No, I grew up in London.
Okay.
So I studied at Central St. Martin's and then at the London School of Printing.
Right.
And then I was at Parsons School of Design.
That's excellent. I mean, I remember I met Shhiv, I think about 20 odd years ago.
Yes, that's
and it was my birthday party, and very rarely did, he was a little bit of a snobbish designer, and very rarely did he do a birthday party, and you did one of my birthday parties for me.
And what fun it was.
Yes, I remember the decor was all silver balls, and those were the days when we were actually carefree, were we?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Shhiv, tell me something else. Now, a lot of people who are listening to this would like to know a little bit more about your journey as an artist. Was it difficult? I mean, I know you got a lot of support from your family, but people who want to get into this field, how do they get into it, and what are the challenges you faced, and what kept you on the path?
I think it's a very difficult field to get into because there's so much competition. But if you're truly passionate about art, I think you have to follow that journey of yours.
Right.
You will face a lot of difficulties on the path of creating art. I know a lot of families who wouldn't like their children to be in the field of art because they don't find it lucrative. In India, they want their children to be a doctor, a lawyer.
Or a failure. I've said it before.
Absolutely.
An artist is completely out of the question. I mean, an artist is somehow considered to be like a jobless situation.
Absolutely.
And
it's not lucrative. Financially stable.
And I guess it takes some time before you get recognized. And
absolutely, you have to practice and practice and practice and come up with your own language in art.
Because I remember it took some time for you to come up with your first show.
Yes.
Beautiful geometrics. I remember in those beautiful colors. So was it a struggle for you? And
luckily for me, my parents were a great support and they encouraged me into the field of art.
Okay.
But my father had one stipulation. He said, if you don't get into the best school, then you don't deserve to be an artist. And I did get into St. Martin's, which was the best art school at that time.
Right.
And so he was very encouraging for me to go into that field. And I had a lot of freedom to express myself. And having grown up in a house filled with art, it made life slightly easier.
They were collectors, your parents were collectors.
Absolutely.
So Shhiv, tell me something. When you lived in London, life was different.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then moving to a country like India, and it's a beautiful country, and there's a lot we can explore here, but ideologies are very different of people here. So did you face a lot of difficulty adjusting here? Can you tell me a little bit more?
Well, it was very difficult to adjust in Delhi because, I came here not knowing anyone.
Right.
And I think in the beginning, people thought homosexuality was a joke.
Right.
And you were a joker.
Yeah.
But I think in today's world, people have more of an understanding as to what homosexuality is. It's not a choice, it's something you're
Born with. Yes.
So at the beginning it was difficult, and I remember speaking to a lot of people, and you know, they would accept me as being homosexual, but when it came to their own kids, it would be a very different story. It was okay for other parents' children to be gay, but not their own children.
Right, as if it's some disease.
Absolutely.
Right, you know, I still remember Shhiv, when I met him for the first time, first few times, and he had come over. And since I was a designer and in that world, I was exposed to all kinds of people, and I didn't have a very narrow outlook to life. So it was very acceptable in my life.
I think that's why we got along so
right.
well.
Plus, it was more about getting to know the person and a soul connection rather than whether he's what their you know whether they're homosexual or whether they are straight. That didn't really matter to me. It was more of a soul connection I had with him.
Soul connection where we bumped into each other in the south of France.
Yes, when he did a show there, and I had gone to sell my clothes. I still remember, so when he came home and you met my children for the first time, and Shhiv had his earrings and he had a handbag, and
that was me.
Yeah, that was just him. And you know, and my children still remember, because today when I mentioned to them I was going to meet Shhiv, I said, don't you remember Shhiv? They said, how can we ever forget him? What a personality he always has
such a compliment.
been. No, but you know, I'll tell you something. But I must say one thing. I remember, you know, all those years, you put it across in a very optimistic way, and you say, you know, yes, I know you had a lovely family who stood by you. But I used to see a lot of sadness also. I remember, you know, it's been a whole thunderstorm of relationships. I mean, it's not like people who are not, you know, gay. Should I use that term? Gay? People who, it's not like people who are straight don't have rocky relationships. But I just felt relationships for a person who's homosexual was even more difficult at that time. Because a lot of people probably didn't come out, people were in denial. I mean, you know, can you, because I just want people outside to be open about all this.
I think today the stigma of being gay is much better in our society.
Right.
Parents want their children to be happy.
They want them to be happy, and yes, absolutely.
If your happiness comes with being with the same sex,
right,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much sadness out in the world, and there's so much negativity that if you can find positivity in a relationship, I don't think people should have a stigma against that or be against that. I know a lot of straight couples who decided not to have children today.
Right.
So that has more of a stigma than being homosexual. You know, 20 years ago, it was a very different scenario.
Yeah.
People had to hide their sexuality. They were forced to get married.
Marriages didn't work out because of that. I mean, I know a few friends who, you know, due to family pressure, had to get married. In fact, they were never really attracted to women, but they just had to do it. And marriages failed just to keep up appearances.
I mean, I think the most important word in the world is love.
Absolutely.
You find love with a person, it's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not jaded by love.
I'm so happy to hear that. I mean, as you know, we've spoken to about 10 odd people in this show, and everybody had a very sad story about love, all ages. People seem to be so jaded and so heartbroken, and it's so refreshing to hear that, Shhiv.
You know, heartbreaks only lead you to the person you're meant to be with.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you.
It teaches you lessons.
Yeah.
And I think life is about learning lessons.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you.
You know, I learn lessons every day from my partner.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I've learned kindness, I've learned patience, I've learned unconditional love.
Yes.
And I think, life is a journey where, you know, you're teaching each other and learning from each other throughout.
So it's so refreshing to hear your opinion on love. I've spoken to about 10 odd people from different age groups, different careers. I mean, I've spoken to 30-year-olds, I've spoken to 50-year-olds, I've spoken to maybe 60-year-olds also, and everybody's opinion on love was a bit jaded, which was a bit sad because I'm a romantic by heart also, like Shiv, like
Yes.
you, and I
Yes.
guess that's why Shiv and me have always gotten along, and I could romance all the time. I love it. I love being in love. That's why I'm in love
I
with
think it's such a
myself these
safe
days.
feeling. Yes.
You know, but at the same time, you know, knowing you for so many years, you've never told me that you love someone so much that you want to get, you know, you got engaged to someone. So tell me a little bit more about that journey.
Well, I was with my, at that time, boyfriend for 4 years. It wasn't the right time. We weren't grown up enough, you know. And we then separated for 3 years. And then having met again, I think we realized that we'd found love in each other. Love should feel safe.
Yes.
It should feel like home. It should be unconditional. And for me, personally, the most important feeling I wanted in love was to feel absolutely and utterly comfortable with that person.
Right.
Which, having grown up in London, was a very strange feeling.
What do you mean
know.
by that?
Well, in London, we're very proper.
Right.
You know, relationships are very formal. But it was about letting go of that and actually feeling that this person is actually just himself.
You mean removing your layers?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
me
not
being
having
myself,
layers. Yes.
Being able to be myself.
Correct.
Without judgment. And I think the beauty of my relationship today is that there is no judgment. We love each other for who we are. We are very different people. And it's about understanding each other's quirks and accepting those quirks.
You know, I find this so, it's so amazing because in today's day and age, there's so many toxic relationships and people have commitment phobia and there's ghosting and then there's some love bombing and, you know, all that which happens. And then when you have two people who still believe in love and trying to cement that relationship and you still have hope, because you know what, I guess the point is to not get cynical and jaded with your experiences and
Hope has to be there
heartbreaks.
for everything.
And heartbreaks, you
Absolutely.
know. I mean, sometimes, you know, when you meet somebody and they look at you and like, would you still want to trust somebody, or you know, you still want to be with someone? But why not? Why do you want to assume everyone out there is going to break your heart, right?
There's enough hurt in the world.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of people who will hurt you. I'm not even talking in a romantic sense.
Right.
But your friends will hurt you.
Absolutely.
Your friends will backstab you.
Yeah.
But you need to have that one space where you know that's not going to happen. And you have to have that trust and let go of, I think, your past experiences.
Yeah.
Because your past experiences wouldn't have got you where you are today.
Yeah.
I think we know we've grown up.
Like you said, 4 years ago, you were not the same person, obviously.
Absolutely
and what's the
not.
point of life? It's the wisdom you've got and your experiences which made you who you are today. And, you know, that's why...
Absolutely, I think...
And made him what he is today.
Life, relationships are a journey. You know, for me, people say, you know, people come into your life for a reason or a season.
Yeah.
I think I've met a lot of people in my life as friends who've come in for a season and they've disappeared.
Yeah.
But I think a relationship, a successful relationship is where you both learn from each other. You teach each other in a very organic way.
Right.
And I think in my relationship, I've learned a lot. From patience to unconditional love and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know, I think having grown up in this city or having lived here for several years, people do become jaded.
In Delhi, in metro cities.
Yes,
yeah,
they become very
course.
jaded because of their experiences. But I look at every experience as a learning experience.
Firstly, I feel living in India more than anywhere else, you live like this remote control life, which we've always discussed in all my shows, that everybody feels it's like a prescribed, like you said, you'd either be a doctor, an engineer, artist was something which was not that heard of. The same way society expects certain things out of you. He'll do this. If it's a businessman, he'll join his father's business.
Right.
If he's working, he'll get married by this age, फिर बच्चे होंगे, and so on and so forth.
Yes, you're right. It's a completely
correct
remote controlled
Yeah.
life, a pre-planned life
Yeah.
before you're even born.
Right.
If it's my son, he will do this. I will leave,
Yeah.
this business to him. And there's no individuality left.
Right.
People are not being able to make their own choices.
And people are too fearful to express themselves.
Absolutely.
The reason I feel today this conversation is going to be very important for a lot of people out there, because we're very proud of who you are, and I'm very proud of my journey, and I've always seen he's very proud of his journey, and we own who we are.
You have to.
We
If
didn't
you don't own
choose,
yourself-
like Shhiv, we didn't choose what happens to us and how and where we are born.
Absolutely.
And so that's karma, isn't it? So how you accept it and how gracefully you live your life is the way forward.
I think you have to live your life with love.
Yes.
You have to love yourself.
Love yourself, yes.
Only then are you able to love other people.
Correct.
And I feel it's an energetic experience as well.
Yes.
If I'm negative towards you, you will pass on that negativity to someone
So
else.
vibrations are infectious,
yes,
basically.
yes.
Yes.
So your vibration has to be at a very high level.
High level, yes. Agreed.
To attract that high level frequency back to you. The universe is there looking out for
Shiv,
us.
I always felt you were immune to a lot of society. See, because I used to observe you. For me, you were a friend of mine, and you hid all your pain and you hid the challenges which you had to face, which was a wonderful way of going forward. But there are a lot of people out there who can derive strength from your experiences also.
I should hope so.
Yes. I mean, it's a wonderful, it's because we need to set an example.
We all see bad times, good times.
Right.
But I think we have to look at the bad times as a learning experience. What have you gained out of having
Right.
had a fight with someone? Have you learned that you were impatient? Have you learned that that person was impatient and how you should deal with that person? Was that person negative towards you? How can you send positivity to that person? And I have to say, these are lessons that I've recently learned.
Yeah.
It's not I've known forever.
Yeah.
I've made a very conscious decision living in Delhi that I'm only going to be hanging out or associating with people who teach me something, or I have something to teach them.
Yes.
There's a lot of superficial parties where you go and you say, hi, how are you?
Yes.
And everyone will say, I'm fine.
Correct.
And the other person actually doesn't really care how you are.
No, they don't.
So
Yeah.
why waste my energy and my time
Yeah.
in those surroundings? I have for years.
Yeah. No, it's not like you've done that. I think that's a growth path for all of us.
Absolutely.
I mean, me living all over the world, and when I was here, I have also wasted a lot of my energy and time. Actually, we shouldn't say wasted. That's just the way we grew.
Right.
Okay, and I spent a lot of time on relationships with the shallow relationships. Let's call it. They were quantity over quality.
Yes, I remember going
Yeah.
to parties together.
Yeah, I remember going on one Femina party with Shhiv, and the typical Indian society vibes, and one of them looked at me and she says, you're becoming very chubby, and if you want to retain your husband, you should go on a diet. I mean, that was the way of thinking, like, retain your husband and I go on a diet for, like, so that was actually, that's the way they thought.
I think we sat in the car after that.
And we laughed about it.
We laughed about everyone there because
We did.
everyone was so superficial. They
They
didn't
were.
actually care
They didn't.
They didn't,
No. And it was sort of all about how you looked.
Yes.
No, it's not that we don't care about how we look, but you can't make it all
It
about.
was about what handbag we were carrying,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
jewelry we were
That's
wearing.
about it.
How we, how our faces were looking,
Yeah.
how our bodies were looking, but it wasn't about how we were feeling.
Yeah, are you happy inside? Are
Yes,
you really happy
yes.
inside? But just the way you are, and how you've followed your path, I would say life teaches us, people teach us, so we should be grateful to every experience, like you said, the good experiences and the bad
Absolutely.
experiences, because I'm very happy where I am now, and I'm sure you are so happy where you are
100%.
right now. It takes work to elevate yourself, it takes contemplation to look at your journey, to see where we've come in life. And even I remember being surrounded by hundreds of people.
Absolutely.
It's not like we were desperate to go on parties or something like that, but we didn't realize that time is limited. Like you're saying, Shiv, you only spend time with people where you learn and where you're growing.
Absolutely. I think, why would I waste my energy,
Yeah.
my vibration,
Yeah.
on something I'm not gaining from?
Right.
I need to be surrounded by people who bring me up
Yes. Yes.
versus pulling me down.
Yes.
I think we both have been in situations where we've been pulled down from every angle.
And it's our responsibility. I mean, I'll tell you, you always have a choice as a human being, rather than complaining about your surroundings, to curate your surroundings.
100%.
I just feel it's up to you as a person to curate who you surround yourself with awareness, basically.
I would rather read a book at home
Yeah.
than be at a party where I'm not going to feel good about myself.
Right.
Because 100 people will make 100 comments.
Yeah.
Which you can say is water off a duck's
Yeah.
back, but it does affect you in a certain way.
No, it definitely affects you. I mean, I'm not so thick-skinned, I mean,
Neither am I.
myself. Even if someone's mean and not kind, because I can't control their behavior, and their upbringing is what I see. And there's so many unkind people I come across, and in the beginning I used to just look at them and I wonder, like, why I would never do this. But now I realize, no, forget it. They're coming from someplace else. So why should I put myself out there with
Yes.
those kind of people?
They have their own lessons to learn.
Right.
They have their own journey to go through.
Right.
And I think we can't judge their journey, but we don't have to be part of their journey.
No, we don't. We don't. There was a time I thought I could, manage and juggle everything in life. And I always felt that, so what? I can have that bunch and I can have this bunch. But I was wrong. I don't feel you can be with two people who are not your tribe. You can't. And then suddenly go and just change and become something else. So even I am very selective. I was telling somebody else the other day that, yes, the most expensive thing is our time. Okay. And of course, we have limited energy and limited time. And I want to use my time effectively.
Absolutely. And those limited emotions in a day, you want to use in a positive way.
Yeah.
I always say, this is how I look at it. I wake up with 100. Now, someone can add to that 100 or someone
Absolutely.
can deplete from that
Correct.
100.
Yes. Yes.
But at the end of the day, I want to go to bed with 100.
Right.
As you said about tribes, I have my very close friends. I don't hang out with anyone but my very close friends. My partner has his very close friends. I like hanging out with them. He likes hanging out with my tribe. And I think it's so beautiful that we have that. We have that understanding with our friends. We have, we're not wasting our energy on the whole world. We are gaining energy from people.
Of course. That doesn't go down very well with a lot of people because, and I know a lot of people, wonder, like, the other day someone told me about you. He's mad. He's in his own world. And I smiled because that's what people say about me also,
I'm glad I'm in my own
and I
world.
felt like, oh my God, he'll think this is a compliment.
Absolutely.
I mean, oh my God, the people don't realize we have something called JOMO, joy of missing out now. It's no longer FOMO. And
wouldn't you want to create your own world and live in your own world?
I'll tell you something, I just feel we have had experiences, and it's something which we want to share with everybody else, that you'll come across so many people who will want to jade you with their experiences and their negativity. And when you realize how important it is for you to protect yourself,
Absolutely.
your aura, that's when you get selective
Yes.
about the people around you. See, and everybody is different, everybody is unique. Okay, I have my own story and I have my own reasons to protect my boundaries. He has his own stories and his own reasons, but we do. But each one of you out there, if you also sit down, you'll realize you are unique in your own way and you have something worth protecting.
Absolutely. Your
Yeah.
energy, your aura, your vibration
Right.
is yours. And you should own that.
And how would even somebody know what they're all about if they've not spent that much time with themselves, right?
Absolutely. I think it's a very, very important thing to
Yeah.
spend time with yourself and have that alone time.
Absolutely.
Where you can reflect,
Yeah,
you can think, you can feel
yeah,
as to what's happening in your life. Where
Yeah.
in that journey
Right.
are you?
yeah.
You know, for me, it's very important to learn something new every day.
Me too. Me too.
Maybe the silliest fact.
So what are you learning? Tell me, like, what are the things you're learning?
Well, at the moment, I'm learning a lot about myself and
Okay.
my resilience.
So Shiv, I have to ask you this question, which I ask everybody who comes onto my show. What is the worst advice someone would have given you?
I think the worst advice was that we come from a certain society. One must live up to the standards of that society and the rules of those society. And to anyone out there listening, you have to set your own standards and live up to those. You don't have to think about anyone else.
So
you
someone-
have to think about your happiness before
True.
anyone else's.
But was it someone basically talking about your homosexuality?
My homosexuality, my views on life, my
Okay.
opinions.
Okay.
I think I'm quite outspoken, as you know.
Yes, you've always been outspoken. Yes.
I think I'm very true to myself.
Right.
And if I don't like something, I say it, which might offend certain people. But
Yeah.
I think honesty is the best policy.
Right.
You know, we've been, as friends, we've been through a
Right.
lot. And I think we've both been very honest with each other.
Absolutely, all through. Yes.
And it takes guts to be honest.
You know what, you have to have, there was a time, like I said it in one of my talks, that a lot of friends betrayed me. Like you said, it's not just relationships, it's also
Yeah.
a lot of friends. And, in my life, when all the struggles were happening, and I've always been fighting, it's been 7 years since my husband is in jail, and I've always been fighting and bringing up my children and living this life alone. So, having a solid friend circle was something which was very important, I thought, to me. And sometimes I did realize along that journey, there were people who took advantage of my vulnerability
And your kindness.
and my kindness. And, I must say, it's not like I wasn't aware of it. I just felt I was very forgiving for that. But it's not advisable to be like that.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's beneficial for a human being to keep making excuses for someone else. You have to face, and it's not like I was fearful of being alone, because I was alone anyhow.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just didn't want to offend anybody at that time. That was me then.
I don't think it's advisable to make excuses for yourself either.
Like, in what sense?
Well, I think we have a certain expectation of ourselves.
Right.
And if we don't live up to that expectation, I think it's very important to be honest about that and say, look,
Yeah.
this is where I expect it to be.
These
in
are my
journey.
boundaries, these are my standards,
Yes,
basically.
and
Yeah.
I need to live up to
Right,
those.
right.
You know, if I've said I'm going to do something today,
Yes.
I
yes,
will live up to
yes,
it and do it.
Yes.
I'm not going to say kal,
Ha.
parso.
No, I agree with you. See, I'll tell you, my problem always was that if somebody had lied, or if I knew someone had betrayed me in certain manner, I said, okay, hare bichara, uska koi problem hoga, or something like that. I didn't like to face it up front. I didn't like confrontation at that point of time. And, I don't think that's, like you said, you were outspoken. I was outspoken, but I was very kind. And I felt I lost out on my own self-respect because of that. Because why do you allow someone to treat you in a certain manner?
I think we are brought up.
Yes, we're brought up like this. See, this is the conditioning.
Absolutely, it's
this is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And I did it for many, many years.
Yes.
I lived up to society's expectation of
Right,
me.
you do.
And now I have expectations of myself.
Right.
And I need to live up to those.
I'll tell you something, even now, like you were talking about this, and, I see a lot of my so-called friends get very offended sometimes when I'm in my own world. And I just feel, so be it, there was a time, I'll never be rude to anybody. I don't think that's the way forward. We don't need to be rude to anyone. But if you lose people along the way, and if people don't accept a grown version of you, a evolved version of you, so be it. Because anyways, we've come alone and we are going to go alone.
Absolutely.
And like you said, you wake up 100% in the morning and you want to sleep 100%. You don't want to lose out because you're pleasing somebody else.
Absolutely. If that means not going to a certain party or not having to meet a certain friend who you feel will bring you down.
Right.
Please do it.
Yeah.
Please do it.
Yeah.
Because you need those resources for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very important. For me, it's very important.
No, for me too. I must tell you one thing, because I feel like there's enough sadness, like you said, in this world. There's enough things to bring you down. So for me, like a lot of people ask me, how come you're so happy, and how come? It's because I've created this world of my own, where I have curated my friends, I've curated my activities, and how I spend my time.
Absolutely.
So that brings me to my next question, Shhiv. So what's the best advice you would have gotten in your life?
To be myself, to have that freedom within myself to express myself, to be who I want to be, who I will be. I think this journey is it's an ongoing journey. I think it's a journey till the day we die. So you have to keep on learning every day.
Yeah.
The best advice I have been given is just be yourself. Just be true to yourself.
And who gave you that advice, if I may ask, if you remember?
I'd say it was my boyfriend, my partner, Akshay. I think he's taught me that he's very honest about himself.
Right.
This is who he is. He doesn't have to live up to
Was he always honest about himself? Was he always
absolutely
very...
And
okay.
That he doesn't have to live up to any expectation of society. He will be himself 100% of the time. And at times I find that strange, but I find I'm envious of someone who can do that for themselves. So I'm learning that. I'm learning that you have to be, the most important thing is be honest to yourself. And then you can be honest to others.
Yeah.
And being honest to others does not mean you have to hurt them.
No.
You can say the same thing
in a kind way.
In a kind way.
In a kind way.
You don't have to hurt people by being honest.
Yeah.
I think that's kindness.
Yeah.
I think kindness comes with honesty. And honesty comes with kindness. And they are very integral with each other.
So tell me, Shhiv, what is the best advice you would have given yourself 25 years ago? Not what you would give anyone, or someone would give you with all your experiences today and what you've learned about life, and what could you have said to yourself 25 years ago?
I wish I told myself, live life for yourself and not for others. And it's funny, that advice I would give to myself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And I think, again, since I've been with Akshay, I've started learning to do that. I've surrounded my people, my tribe is people who I can just be completely myself with. And I'm free with to discuss anything in life. There's no
pretenses,
stipulations that this is the boundary. You can't go any further than this boundary of what you want to talk about. We can talk about anything. And that gives you such a sense of comfort.
Yeah. Tell me something, Shhiv. I've always, because see, we have a lot of viewers out there and people who are struggling with their sexuality. And was it something you always knew when you
Yes,
were a child? I mean, do
absolutely.
you even
I think
remember?
I don't even remember because it
I
was
mean, I
such an
met you when you were
innate.
like 30 or 29, 28, I remember, but did you always
No, you
know?
met me when I was 20.
Oh, yes, yes, you were 20, correct. And so, did you always know? And
I think it was definitely something I was born with, and it was something I was aware of. You know, as
see,
people.
you came from that part of society, like you said. You grew up in London, and your parents were very accepting of the whole art, anything. So they loved you unconditionally. A lot of parents love their children unconditionally, like you said. They did. A lot of people you met, a lot of friends and family said, we accept it in you, but not in our children,
Right.
right? So, how does a young person, a woman or a man, our audience, who's going through struggles of their own where they're not sure how to express themselves, they might not come from that part of society. See, even though the world has progressed a lot, India is a huge population and a huge part of society is still very conservative, right? A lot
Absolutely.
of people don't accept divorce. A lot of people stay in rotten marriages. There's a lot of toxicity because of the farce people have created. And, a big part of this reset program is to talk to people to learn to be their real selves and to have the courage by watching people. Like, we had a talk with somebody who had to go through a divorce after 14 years, and she came from a very conservative family, and she spoke about how she had the
I'm
courage
sure
to
she
do it.
fought for it. She
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 did. So what is your advice to girls and boys out there, and even their parents who are watching
Well,
us?
parents, you have to accept your child for
Yeah.
what he or she is.
Right.
As a parent, I think it's very important to realize that all that matters is your child's happiness.
Right.
And if it comes with a man being with a man,
Yeah.
accept it.
Or a woman being with a woman.
Absolutely. Any sex being, with any
Absolutely.
other sex. If you
Yeah.
can accept a man being with a woman,
Yeah. Multiple women. Right.
then
Yeah.
accept your son being with a man or
Yeah.
your daughter being with a
With a
woman.
woman. Yeah.
In today's day and age, there's very little happiness out there.
Correct.
And if your son finds happiness or your daughter finds happiness with the same sex, accept it.
And this is not something you can change.
Absolutely not.
It's not like पंडित के पास चले जाओ और ये पूजा करा लो और
I mean, coming from my boyfriend's experience,
right.
husband to be, his family to begin with thought it was something they could cure.
That's what I'm saying.
So he was taken to multiple psychiatrists, psychologists, multiple pujas all over India were done. But
But that's common. It's
common,
very
and
common.
it's a certain community, a certain
Right.
society that feel it is a disease.
And I'll tell you something, Shiv, it's still like that. It's still like that. See, there's a huge portion of, okay, there's, you watch Friends, you watch different TV serials where you're exposed to a lot of different things. And, there are shows on lesbians and gay people, and it's normal. It's because it is actually normal. But in India, it's all on the face of it. You
It
laugh at
exists
it.
in animals.
Yes.
Chickens and pigs and cows
Yeah.
can be homosexual.
Right, and I'll tell you, it's also, like you said, it's not the way people look at it. Some of them that you can cure it. Yeah, because like you said, psychiatrist ke paas leke jao. Yeah, ek puja. The reason I said it is because I have seen this happen to my friends. That कोई बोलेगा पूजा करा देते हैं, ये ठीक हो जाएगा. Don't worry. इसमें what
But
worry?
ठीक कराना क्या है?
What is there to ठीक कराओ?
Your child is the way he was born.
Right.
क्या ठीक कराना है? You love your child when he was born. Why should you stop loving him now?
Yeah.
He is who he is.
So, give me a one-line advice for parents, and this is real parents. I'm talking about people, our friends, people we know who have children who are growing up. Not something you see in someone else's house and you say, "Arey, as long as unke ghar mein ho raha hai, I don't care." But my child should not break the rules which you think are the rules of society. He or she should marry within your, needs and
what is normal,
what is normal.
considered normal.
Divorce nahi hona chahiye, bachcha zaruri hona chahiye. These are all stupid stipulations.
I have friends who've gone through 7-8 rounds of IVF. And I say, why are you doing that to your body?
Right.
And they'll say, my husband wants that. And I think that's such a sad state that a husband is putting his wife through that.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're doing the same to your children.
Absolutely.
You're saying, go through all these obstacles, yet don't be yourself. Why would you want your child to go through obstacles? Let that child express themselves. Love that child unconditionally. You loved that child when he was born unconditionally. Why would it change now? Why would you put conditions that I will not love you if you're homosexual?
Or give conditions to someone. You're right. Yeah. If you don't love me, that means you don't love me. That would be very unfair on the child.
If you love me, you wouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of parents say.
That's what I've seen, yes.
But you loved your child when he was born, unconditionally.
Right.
Now, why does that love come with conditions? I know people who will say, Dilli mein na ho, jab bahar jaoge karo jo karna hai. But हमारी society को नहीं पता होना चाहिए कि हम क्या हो रहा है इस घर में.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's very sad.
But Shiv, when that comes to anything which is not the norm.
But I think we need to break the norms.
No, we need to break the norm. Like, I'll tell you what people will say. I've seen marriages where people will say, nahi, at least let's pretend in front of everybody else. As long as, then we live our separate lives. So they want to live a pretend life. Kisko dikhane ke liye?
It's so important.
I just don't understand who's going to benefit from this.
Well, and at the end of the day, is society going to be there to support you?
No.
It's your own resilience.
In our darkest of moments, in your darkest of moments, in my darkest of moments, no. It's not like and I'll tell you something, it's not like you're a bitter human being, neither am I.
No.
It's because I never kept my expectations high. I really didn't, I always did what I wanted to do. And that is why I think we're not bitter human beings. And we are not bitter because we didn't wait for society to decide that, you live your life like this. And people will always talk.
You do something good, they will talk.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
do something bad, they will talk.
Yeah.
People will be negative, from my own personal experience, a lot of people who've seen me now happy and I'm settled, I'm with someone who I love.
Yeah.
They can't handle the truth.
I agree with you.
They can't handle it.
Yeah,
so therefore they will
yeah.
create issues within our relationship which never existed.
I can imagine, yes. And I feel like, today I was hearing a talk somewhere where someone said that a friend who pretends to be a friend, as long as you live at a level which is at par with them, but when the minute they see you grow, or the minute they see you're thriving or shining,
you're absolutely right.
It's really sad that they do something to kind of
want you
burst the bubble
back
to bring you back. And that's not true friendship.
No.
And so what is the advice you'd give the person who's going through this? Because there are a lot of people even now who are very confused. When you, like, I've seen a lot of children in families, and for sure that the child is not a straight child, he is a homosexual child. But the children, the parents, so what about the children who are watching? Like,
please be yourself.
And,
and you being yourself, at some point your parents will accept you. And if they don't, that's their loss in life.
Yeah.
You have to live your true life.
I mean, it's similar thing. Like, I'll tell you something. When I was talking to Niva Jain about women and us getting opposition sometimes in taking on a new project, and women, when you come from a business family or from an affluent family and you want to work, you face opposition sometimes. And she said, but if someone sticks to that, they stick to what they want, and they're resilient on their path, they'll win in the end. You get acceptance.
I 100% agree, and I think at the end of the day, you're answerable to yourself. Are you
Absolutely.
being true to yourself?
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're doing an injustice to yourself.
Yeah.
There are 100 people out there who will support you in your decision and who
Absolutely.
will be there for you.
Yeah.
And if they're not,
Yeah.
it's their loss in life.
In one of my shows, you know, the Guruji who I had spoken with, Arvind Guruji, he said that it's more important to have 4 lions stand by you than 4,000 dogs, you know.
I would completely agree
You
with
know,
that.
so there are enough good people out there.
And I think that also translates into friends.
Absolutely.
If you have 4 true friends versus 4,000 socialites on your side, I would anyway, any day, choose my 4 friends.
So, Shiv, tell me something. How important has actually? Let me ask you this: what's your opinion on religion versus spirituality?
I think people have misconstrued what religion is today.
Right.
You know, a lot of people out there think there are 1,000 Indian gods. But those are those gods for people to relate to the one.
Correct.
If you relate to your child, to God as a child, you look at him as Krishna.
Right.
You know, so these are just views to reach the one. And I think spirituality is also about finding or relating to the one. May you call it Allah, may you call it Bhagwan, may you call it Jesus Christ.
Right.
Or like me, I call it the universe. You know, it's connecting to the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if people start looking at religion from a different aspect and actually start reading their scripts in slightly more depth
Right.
than taking it on face value, I think the world would change. You know, I have Muslim friends. I don't see any difference between them and myself as society might want me to.
Yeah.
Or India might want me to, or the world might want me to.
Yeah.
We're all humans at the end of the day.
I mean, you know, I've heard a lot of people say this, like, I mean, if a Hindu family, like, oh, my child could marry anybody, but not this or not that. And so it's very similar to the same thing which you are facing or anybody else would face, that why differentiate anybody because of some
their religion
so-called
or their
religion?
sexuality or their belief.
Yeah, I think it comes from the same thing. But in your own life journey, has spirituality, have you imbibed a certain spirituality?
Absolutely. I'm a Sikh.
Ah,
And for me, I think Sikhism is a religion based on spirituality.
absolutely. Seva.
Seva, look after your family, be true
Correct.
to yourself, look after your neighbor. It's about kindness
Kindness, yes.
and compassion.
Absolutely.
And I try. I won't say I'm the perfect person, but I try to do that.
Right.
I do my part for 1 hour every day. And it gives me peace of mind. And what more can you ask for?
So that is a part of your meditation.
Absolutely.
Correct.
It is my meditation.
Absolutely.
It is
yeah.
my meditation. You know, and it was a beautiful thing. Just a few months ago, I was going to Dehradun, and a Muslim friend of mine and his wife were sitting on the front seat.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, it's 7 a.m. I'd like to do my part.
Huh.
So I said, do you mind if I put it on, you know, on the stereo? And they said, of course not. And they listened to it with me.
Which part was it?
The Sukhmani Sahib.
Oh, I love the Sukhmani Saab part. Yes, absolutely.
And they were listening to it, and I was trying to explain to them what the meaning was. And after that, they played me the azan.
Azan is, yes, it's you know, when you hear it, when you go to the Gurdwara and you close your eyes and you hear the, you know, the vibrations. Yes. Actually, when you feel the vibrations, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
And I remember when I lived in Dubai, and when the azan happened in the evening time, and it was so pleasing to your ears. Some people found it disturbing when the mosques, but I used to love it.
Again, it brought me peace.
Right.
And I said, you know what, this is such a lovely integration of two religions,
right.
of respect of two religions. And that respect was also translated in them being Muslim for a very conservative background to accepting me as a homosexual.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was a lesson for the world to learn. Let's accept each other's religions. Let's respect each other. Let's respect each other's sexuality. And build a relationship on what truly matters as our soul and what we are as a human being versus what we show to the world.
Yeah, I also feel the more happier a person is and more content they are with their journey, the more accepting they are of society. Because the key to happiness is also acceptance of a certain level. A lot of people who are discontent and unhappy, look towards outside. They are unkind.
And I think in this country, in this world, they look at money.
Oh, money, of
They
course.
think money brings happiness.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It doesn't.
I mean, I'm glad for that because, because it comes and it goes. It comes and goes. It's just transitory and, and I'm so happy.
What joy does it give you? For 10 minutes, you buy something?
Yeah.
That transitory pleasure? And that pleasure
The most richest people, I mean, I don't want to generalize it, but I have seen a lot of people are the most unhappiest souls.
I was going to say the same thing.
They're never happy. They'll buy their diamonds, their bags, their holidays, but they're unhappy because they're being untrue to themselves.
I think we all fall into that. We all enjoy our jewelry.
Yeah, we do.
But there is a limit.
There's a limit.
It's not what brings us joy.
No.
It's something we enjoy, but it's not joy.
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference between enjoy and joy.
Yeah.
Joy is something from within.
Right.
You create your joy. You don't gain joy from anything external.
I feel in this society also, Shhiv, it has also, the people we had surrounded ourselves with at that time were very money conscious.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody wanted to, they defined themselves with the car they drove, where they lived, what clothes they wore. So, Shhiv, what is your opinion on marriage in today's day and age?
I'm still one of those who believes in marriage and the institution of marriage. I think marriage gives us a sort of commitment that we have to live up to. I know that might be a very idealistic belief, but for me, having gotten engaged and then having a wedding was very important.
Okay.
I don't know when the wedding will happen, but it will definitely happen. I think both me and my partner made a decision when we got together that this was for life. We can scream and shout at each other. We can have bad days. We can have good days. But we are committed to each other. And I think a marriage just kind of seals that commitment. Which I know, again, is a very jaded belief.
No, not really. I just feel, I think it's a very beautiful institution. Marriage is a beautiful institution. And it's just that, sometimes your journey is not all the way with somebody.
Right.
But that doesn't mean
fine.
that marriage is not a beautiful institution. And I completely believe in, being in love and being married. And I love the idea. But I don't necessarily enforce it on the next generation. I don't feel like my children necessarily have to get married. I feel when I grew up, I felt there was no other option. It was only marriage. And now I feel there's another world out there.
I think everyone has a personal outlook on it, and they should follow that.
Follow your outlook. Yes.
I have so many friends who have made a conscious decision not to have children.
Right.
They've married, at not a ripe age of what a girl should be or a boy should be. And I said, get married when it suits you and when you are in love.
See, that's why you appreciate it so much. Like most of us, we got married quite unconsciously. It's the first you fell in love and you just got married. because you felt that was the next step.
But you were lucky that you fell in love. So many people were made to get married because they had to get married.
Right,
They'd met their
right.
husbands maybe twice before
Yeah.
taking that leap.
But, the whole Indian mentality is that, a lot of arranged marriages have worked out. And so they don't really believe in that whole concept of love. They feel like love happens once, you learn families marry each other, and that's when love happens. So I think, when children growing up in this society can get a little muddled, then you have the Karan Johar movies, which I keep talking about in all my series, because they really influence romance and everything else. And then you have real life.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, there are arranged marriages which will continue to be popular. It's like a dating service.
Well, I think no life is rosy.
No life is
right?
rosy. So that's the key.
The rose comes with thorns.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's
yeah.
how you deal with those
Right,
thorns.
right.
Are you willing to fight those thorns to get to that
But
place of
Shiv, there's no
rosiness?
stigma against decisions which might not suit a person. Like if they want to leave a marriage, so be it.
I would actually advise people who are
Yeah.
in a marriage
Yeah.
that's making them unhappy.
Yeah.
And again, I think life is so short.
Yeah.
If you can find happiness
Somewhere else.
please go.
So this is what I say. Marriage as an institution is beautiful. Okay. But if at any point of time, of course, I'm not telling you to be frivolous in your decisions. Ki one ladai and you're out of the house. I think people make a lot of informed decisions. And when you come to a point where it's toxic, there's no harm in
Not at all.
taking a different
Not at
turn in your
all. I
life.
think,
Yeah.
Parents of girls
Yeah.
should be happy to take
Correct.
their daughter back home. I think a
Absolutely.
lot of parents say, "Nay, but it's so shocking to us if you come back home." or-
बच्चों के लिए you must keep it up.
Yes. No.
Again, keeping up. See that bad advice somebody else
What are
society
you
को
showing
दिखाने
that
के लिए.
bacha? You're showing that bacha
Very sad.
a toxic
Yeah.
household.
Yeah.
And the bacha will believe a toxic household
Right.
is normal.
Right.
And then seek a toxic
Right.
partner.
Right.
I think it's you have to make an informed decision.
It's really sad. I'll tell you in this, and you'll be shocked, or maybe you won't be. Since I do coach a lot of people, and so I have a lot of women who are in their late 40s also, who have come to me and told me about the status of their marriages where they've been beaten. First, they were getting abused by a family member, and then they've continued to bear the abuse, and now they also see abuse happening for their children.
It's funny, my
And-
mom, who's
yeah.
a psychologist,
Right.
she did a study, or there is a study out there, that 8 or 9 generations of women who were beaten
Right.
married wife beaters.
What do you mean?
8 generations ago, that lady was beaten by her husband
Right.
on a regular basis.
Huh.
Her daughter ended up marrying someone who would beat her. And it went forth on and on and on.
Because this is what I told, and I tell people who come for advice on coaching that, the example you're setting by accepting, it's like the same thing you told me, that we should be true to ourselves. And what do we deserve? Do we deserve to be treated like that? Do we see whether it is a betrayal, whether it is physical or mental torture, which anybody is going through?
In whatever stage of their life, maybe with their sexuality, their relationship,
Absolutely.
their friendships,
Yeah.
you have a choice.
Don't ever think you're helpless.
Absolutely, you're
See,
not.
A lot of people make an excuse.
And
though.
there are a lot of people out there
Yeah.
who can support you,
Right.
who can help you. And I
Yeah.
think it's really important to reach out to other people and not go through this pain and this journey alone.
It's not noble to suffer.
Not at all.
A lot of people say, oh, look, she's so sweet. Yeah, look, she's still stuck in that marriage. Or look at him, he's listened to his parents and he's done this or whatever. It's not noble.
I think in today's
yeah.
day and age, it's quite foolish.
Yeah, it's not, it's foolish actually. It's your life. You get one life. It's your choice how you live it.
I think a lot of women stay in marriages because they don't have financial independence. But you can go out there and find a job. You can find a job that gives you pleasure, that you are happy with.
Yeah.
And happiness brings happiness.
Totally. I completely agree with you. And, so I wanted to ask you one more question, Shiv, which is You were speaking about marriage, and now that we live in this beautiful country where the Supreme Court has decided that, the other day I was talking to someone about surrogacy, and we got this point up because again there was interference, and they said there's a case going on whether she, as a single woman, can have the
Yeah.
right to have it. She said it's my right. It's a lawyer. She's filed a petition in the court saying that being a woman, it's her right. She doesn't have to define herself by age or be a widow or blah 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 to be able to have a surrogate child. So, what's your opinion in this whole
Well, I think
right for people to get married?
I think it was a very wrong decision for the Supreme Court to take.
Yeah,
It's every human's right
right.
to get married,
Absolutely.
or find happiness in a marriage. So to say homosexuals, or the LGBTQ plus community cannot do that is taking our country back 100 years.
Yeah,
We are a country that needs to move on and move forward. I know I can't legally get married in this country.
right.
Therefore, I will go to England where it is legal and it is seen, it's recognized
Yeah,
to get married.
because it's important for you,
Yes,
and it's your life decision.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
I'm not going to let India's laws determine if I get married or not.
sometimes I find it very, when I read the newspaper, I read the other day about somebody's opinion in court about, no, this divorce should not happen. Or I was like, how can a court interfere if two adults, especially if a woman wants to leave, it's really sad. And even live-in relationships are not allowed.
And it's funny in Europe, well,
Yeah.
in Paris, in France, if you are living with your partner for 4 years,
Right.
you are legally looked at as a married couple. I think France is one of the first countries to introduce gay marriages.
Right.
And now Thailand is in the process of legalizing it.
Right.
And where's India?
Lots of things. I'll tell you, today I read the newspaper where someone said that a 28-week-old fetus has a right to live. And, I don't know. I don't know the details of the matter. And I just feel also, I have a very strong opinion when it comes to abortions also. I just feel, what if a woman has been raped?
Absolutely. I mean, I was just going to say that.
So what if the fetus is this thing? I mean, it's not easy to give birth to a child and then give the child away. So the woman who has been put through that torture, you're going to torture her even further. That she has to first give birth to a child of a man who she got raped by. And that decision is not even hers. She was not asked when she was raped. She was not asked, she has to give birth, and then you might not even you obviously don't want to keep that child which will represent,
remind you of something so traumatic that
so
you've gone
why are
through.
we going towards that kind of a society where basic,
I think we're regressing.
We are
regressing so much that it's actually very sad to see our country going through that. We should be a country that's flourishing. I think there were no rules like this even when the British were ruling over us for how many 100 years. And now to put those in force is very sad. I at times feel, yes, I've made the decision to live in India. But could I live in India for the rest of my life? I don't know. I don't know.
I'll tell you, even for something as simple as a divorce, okay, if you go to a lawyer today and you say, okay, I want to, you could be in your 40s, you're a grown-up person, you brought up your children, and you say, I want a divorce. They want you to write an essay on how you've been ill-treated, or, they want you to villainize the person, which is very, very,
You could be two best friends who just didn't work out.
Right. And I had these friends who lived in Zambia, I must tell you, and she was telling me about her experience that in their country, which is such a poor country, the black countries, most of them, their source of income is very low. And, in Zambia, in one of those countries, she said that if if the woman wants a divorce, and if they go to court together, judges will simply ask the husband. She said it's a very simple equation, and they look at you as a human being and not that you're tied together. See, that's why I asked you that question about marriage. As long as it's not like a prison.
You see, again, in the Muslim community, it was a very easy way for a couple to get divorced. But now the government has made that illegal.
Where? In India, though?
Yes. That you can't have the talaq rule.
But in Pakistan and all, they still...
Yes.
In the Muslim countries, it's...
Yes.
Okay.
But why should we not respect their way of divorce and have to go through actually the British way of divorce?
Yeah.
All the laws and rules today, forever since the British, are based on the laws of the British. The British have updated their laws.
Yeah,
but India hasn't.
So true.
You know?
So true, yeah.
England has moved on.
Right.
And we have such a Gora, thing in
obsession.
India. Obsession.
They have the obsession for white skin. Yeah.
With the law, why don't we do that with progress?
I'll tell you what it is. It's the same way as when someone said ki you can be a homosexual, but as long as my son will not be the same. So as long dur se hai, it's not within their country or their thing, they don't want to change.
Forget in their country, in their room.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not like, I love being here, and there's a lot of beautiful things, but there are certain things which will be regressive and people will hide. You think there are no live-in partners these days?
Of course.
Small towns also, there are so many people with live-in relationships. Just because a law is passed that you can't have a live-in.
Stop love.
People are not going to stop.
Love will still happen.
You can't do that. And so they have to update themselves and get real, according to me.
As well as the parents. I think the parents need to update their beliefs.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, my child is happy. He's smiling again. Or he's finding joy in life again.
Right.
And why is this? It's because he's found someone in his life.
Right.
So we should accept that person in his life.
Today's conversation is, to set an example, with the various challenges Shhiv has faced in his life and various challenges I have faced in my life. I'm very open about my experiences and what my opinions are, and I really don't let society judge the way I should behave or do what I should do, because none of them were there really for me when I was in my darkest moments, and none of them were there for you.
No.
And it's not left me, like, I'm a very happy human being and I continue to have a very vibrant friend circle. But I want everybody to learn to live according to what their true inner self and essence is,
I 100% agree.
You have
whatever your essence might be.
Yes. So you have two people here who, who've had very, very different, varied lives. And I think I'm growing and learning also every day. And I'm not jaded on love. I'm not jaded on marriage. I love and respect the institution. But I also love a human being.
Preeti, you had many times, many opportunities to walk out of your marriage.
Yes.
But you have stayed there.
So far, yes.
You are in there.
Correct.
You're fighting for it.
Right.
And that is love.
No, I think that's not love. No, that's not love. I think that's just your life journey, and there's a lot of love. I've said this on another show of mine where I've said the only unconditional love a woman mostly feels is for her children and for her parents, and partner, yes. It is there, but I find they're very transient. That's why I see my opinion on marriage and all this is ever evolving. Obviously, if I'm married when I'm 21, what do you expect? You obviously are going to change your opinion.
You had a very romanticized view of what marriage was.
Yes, I had one, and it's,
I think
you
it's
know, I
become
don't.
real now.
No,
It's
you're
today's-
real. I just feel that it's not that important anymore. You know, it doesn't define you.
Absolutely not.
You know, no relationship should define you.
And it shouldn't be the center of your life.
No, it shouldn't be that, and you should not be obligated to stay in. I just find that in our country, the laws are very old. Even to get a divorce takes up half your life.
Yes.
So a lot of people give up halfway, and nobody wants to get into this whole public mudslinging. It's a
Yeah.
very sad thing, you know. I mean, if women and men would accept even this, that it could just be a very mutual thing, it would be easier. You know, this society has to become a little bit more accepting. Accepting, that's it.
I couldn't agree more with you, but I think this country has a long way to go.
Yeah.
Very, very long
Yeah,
way
and
to
I
go.
think people like us, and I think our generation should be able to set an example, and where we portray our real lives and our real self. So we're not living some hypocritical existence, and that's what's going to help everyone else also have the courage, you know.
I hope Preeti and I have been able to give you some sort of courage,
Yeah, with our scandalous conversations.
which shall continue.
Yes, it's been a pleasure to speak with you today, Shiv. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being
Thank you
here
for having
and
me.
sharing all your, you know, experiences and opinions so honestly with us and with everybody. And I hope it helps all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.